I'm going to start out here something that was kind of a watershed event. It probably doesn't seem like a watershed event to people because a lot of people aren't even aware that it came out. But the Illuminati financed a report through the Carnegie Foundation. It was done in 1910 by Abraham Flexner. It's called the Flexner Report. And the conclusion of Flexner's report was that electricity, electrical and magnetic fields have nothing to do with the human body. And so for the next half century, nobody could research that. See, a lot of people don't understand, Alexandra, that what science has become now. Their image of a scientist is this passionate person that's using logic, that is curious, that's just researching wherever his mind goes. But it's so expensive to do research now that these scientists that we see today, and they're just people, they are working on projects that the elite controllers want. You can't get a grant to do your research unless it lines up with what they want to research. And then a lot of times the research findings are kept secret, so the public doesn't even see the results. So science has been severely tainted, and the few people out there that are legitimate, that buck the system and come up with results that the system doesn't want us to know about, they lose their careers are destroyed. Maybe one of the worst examples of somebody who was ahead of his time was there was a doctor in France who got the other people that worked for him in the hospital to wash their hands so that they would be clean. And he reduced the incidences of death greatly by sanitation. And his career was ruined, and he was kicked out of his profession, and he committed suicide shortly after that. Because you get intense pressure on anybody who's bucking the system. And so the Flexner Report was very helpful to Big Pharma, and so nobody could come along and say, well, electrical energy, electromagnetic fields, see, electrical field and magnetic field, which are at right angles to each other on electrical current, they are different things. They're not the same thing, but they both influence the body quite a bit. And I brought along a book. This book was written by a very great researcher, a doctor, The Body Electric. It came out in 1987. A lot of people haven't probably read it. Some of my listeners may have. I highly recommend this because he had to buck the system and do all of this research that shows that our bodies, all through our bodies, our entire bodies use electricity. So these electric fields, these magnetic fields, they significantly affect our bodies. And we're going to be talking about that because this modern world has electrical fields, magnetic fields, EMF energy all around us that's millions and trillions of times greater than the natural. And it's disrupting us in incredible ways. It's disrupting our bodies. It's making us weaker, and it's making us sick. Now, back in 1975, as you're aware, I left the world system. I knew that there was some major things wrong with the way modern society was going. And I joined the old order Amish. And I got away from cars, electricity, all of this stuff. And one of the things that I would notice when I was Amish is you would have somebody in their 70s or 80s that were very active and healthy. And we're looking at a culture that's outside of the modern medical system. So you think, how are these people thriving when they're outside of the modern medical system, you know? And anymore, they've gone to having their own schools, so they're outside of the public school system too. They're thriving in that too. You look at these Amish and Mennonite schools, their 8th graders are studying at the level of senior high schoolers in the public schools. They're like 4 years ahead, easily 4 or 5 years ahead of their peers in the public schools, because they're concentrating on actually studying reading, writing, and arithmetic rather than social programming like they're doing in the schools. They're starting to teach little kindergartners and 1st graders here in the United States about homosexuality, you know, and that's good. I mean, what's that got to do? A little child shouldn't be exposed to that. It's an agenda. And they're working all the social programming and mind control in the schools, and they're dumbing down the kids. The things that they need to know, they're not learning in the public schools. And you can see that. You can see how badly they're dumbed down when you go to, you know, this year I visited a Mennonite school and watched their 8th grade and 6th graders and what they were studying. Very impressive. They're so far beyond the public schools, and they were so well behaved. And I taught Amish elementary school for 2 years, so I know firsthand what I was teaching and what at the level that they were at. And so I can say firsthand that it's really sad how they've dumbed down our kids, and they've made schools prisons and unfun. And we're looking at a cult of death. You know, I could go on and on about that, but there's so much information that I want to get out that I'm going to keep going. But I recommend The Body Electric. I also recommend a book, Healing is Voltage by Benjamin Rush. And I also recommend a website, sharinghealth.com. That's sharing with a capital S, health with a capital H, all one word, sharinghealth.com. And, you know, my mission in life is not only to expose evil, but to give hope. And so there's a lot of positive information out there, like Healing is Voltage, that book, and sharinghealth.com, where people can find answers. And the research in this book, The Body Electric, it got started because Dr. Becker was researching how are salamanders able to regenerate a limb that they lose. If you cut off a leg, or basically their front leg, which is equivalent to an arm, they'll just regenerate it. And how do they regenerate it? And why are people not able to regenerate? Like if you lose an arm, why can't you regenerate it? Well, he discovered that nerves have to be involved in the regeneration process, and electricity, current, and the paranerves, which they thought was the sheathing to the nerves, is actually carrying electrical energy and information. And there has to be a threshold, a 30% threshold of nerves there. And so because the human body has so much of our nerves centered in our brain, we don't have the threshold to regenerate. We don't have the nerve threshold to regenerate limbs. But electricity can be used to help regenerate. So like what he discovered is, and he would only take the worst cases, people that were patients that there was no other hope for. But he would take patients that were going to lose their leg, for instance, because they had a broken leg and they had severe infection. And with electricity, low current, the right currents, he would destroy the infection, because electricity can be used to destroy any virus or bacteria if you know the right voltage and amperage and everything. And he would destroy the infection, and using a healing current would activate the body bones to join again. So people that had had breaks, bones that hadn't healed for a year, and the medical profession couldn't do anything with them, he could get them within a short period, maybe a week or so. The bones would start coming back together again and heal themselves. So the person would not have their legs amputated. He'd get their lives back to them. So I want to emphasize that there's a positive side to my message today. I'm not going to be giving a lot of the positives. I'm going to look to the listener to follow up on some of these things where I'm directing people to, like healing is voltage, and go in there. And there's machines, there's healing machines that will give you the right voltage to take care of illnesses and to help the healing. And you know, the system, call it the elite, the Illuminati, the controllers, whatever, they've set up some bogus watchdogs to protect us. Here in the United States, we have the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, that's supposed to be protecting us. And then back when I was a teenager, they created the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, that's supposed to protect us. And I can give lots of stories about how these agencies did the opposite of protecting us and actually are working for the elite to kill us. Instead of being watchdogs, they're more like wolves or pussycats.